Hi, I'm Resin O'Malley, and I'm here with my co-manager, co-host Rusty Tanton. And this is the One-on-One, a podcast for software engineers. And today we're talking with Mike. He's a quality assurance and pen tester. Mike, this is your one-on-one. What would you like to talk about?
Oh man, put me on the spot. My name is Mike Armijo. Some of you know me as a few different names. I can't say them on here, not at least all of them. I am definitely a QA guy. I have been for, I feel like, the last 10 years and then some. And this is my one-on-one. Hi, Mike.
Very nice, very nice. Thanks for joining, Mike.
Yeah, so that being said, I feel like I've always been a QA guy because I've always asked questions from the minute I was a kid, wanting to learn everything about everything, even when it was inappropriate, to to the professional job world and like why does this work and how does it work and how can I fix it or how can I break it. I got thrown into QA accidentally. I got bored and I started getting in trouble at a very professional job, and my boss was thankful enough to be like, hey, you know what? Go do this and get out of my hair. And so I got to go sit with some analysts, and they were like, here's a spreadsheet. Do some Excel formulas. That lasted maybe a day and a half. And I was like, okay, this is done. What do I do now? And they were like, all right, try this, try that. I learned how to do some SQL stuff, which was really cool. I started jumping into pretty much like application testing. And within 6 months, I was the lead analyst for annual enrollment for health and insurance benefits for Fidelity Investments.
Very
And
cool.
so, yeah, it was like, you see the deep end? We know you don't know how to swim. Have fun. And so that's how it all started. And here I am now, like I said, 10 years later, and I still can't believe it. You know, I look back just through everything that I've done and everything I've been able to experience, all the awesome people I've been able to meet, you guys included. And it's like, man. So yeah, sometimes I feel like I'm the smartest guy and the dumbest guy in the room. And I love that opportunity because I can learn, I can teach, I can do both of those. And honestly, I feel like that's one of the only reasons I've gotten to the point where I'm at. I carry a gigantic chip on my shoulder because of the fact that I look at, abnormal to the rest of the people that I've worked with, just because I have visible tattoos and I don't carry a degree around like I wish I did. But, obviously none of these things are unattainable, obviously. But to me, that's my driving force. Like, hey, you know what? I don't fit the mold, but yet I'm in the same room you guys are. Check this out. Look what I can do. I feel like the guy from Mad TV. You know what I mean? Because I act like that fool sometimes too. So, but yeah, look what I can do. You know, I got here because I wanted to be here, and I continue to push myself, in that regard. One of the main reasons I got into pen testing, same thing. It was like, hey, this is a whole different element. This is leveling up. This is taking my skills and doing something more with them, and opening more doors and opportunities. Becoming a hacker, like some of my friends that aren't aware of exactly what I do. Being one of those guys and saying like, hey, this is what I do 9 to 5 kind of thing, and I enjoy the heck out of it. It's for me, it's fun. It's not work, because I'm like, you know what, I get to do this. It's not I have to do this kind of thing. So again, just another part of that chip on my shoulder of just having the opportunity to say, yeah, I can afford to do crazy things and fun things, and make sure my daughter's taken care of and all that fun stuff, because I'm not willing to give up. I'm not willing to just stop learning, or whatever the case may be. Like, hey, I'm gonna make it to that next level regardless of if it takes me 5 minutes, which I've been blessed to learn certain things quickly, and then there's certain things where I'm like, how do you spell your name again? It's a good thing it's written down. So yeah, but no, long story short, that's been my style ever since Fidelity. I was with them for just about 4 years, and without having that experience, I don't know where I'd be, because I went from there, I went through the IT world, and then I took a little bit of a right turn, I went into law enforcement a little bit, and I was a 911 operator. And it's funny, I had an interview recently, and one of the questions that was asked was like, how do you deal with stressful situations? And I said, I was like, well, it's a good question. I was like, if you've seen my resume, you see that 911 operator is on there. And you could see them like fumbling and like, oh yeah, okay, we do see that. I'm like, yeah. So I'm like, here's my answer. In my IT career, there's been countless opportunities where people act like this chunk of code is life or death. And I was like, however, I've also been in life or death situations with people on the phone because they don't call 911 for fun.
No.
And I survived. I don't know how, but I survived a lot of junk food, actually. I survived 911 and the stress and everything that comes with it because of the adrenaline and everything that came with it. But those were actual life or death. And I feel like if anyone, myself included, if anyone can do that job and anyone that has, major kudos to them. If you can do that job, you can literally do anything because it's one of the most forgiving, but also helpless situations you could ever be in because there's so many things going on. And physically, you could probably go lift that car up or, drag somebody out of a building or, whatever the case may be. Physically, I think anyone could do that if they absolutely had to. But when you're on the other end of a phone and you can't physically do that, your mind goes insane because it's like, what do I do? How do I handle this? And then that's when your training kicks in. And next thing you know, the people are getting what, the help that they need. So, I love horror movies. I love action movies. I love all that stuff. Hollywood pales in comparison to the real world because the things that are actually happening and then the things that your mind creates while you're hearing some of these details, night and day. There's amazing movies out there. I have a list of favorite movies, but compared to some of the things that have actually happened and I've seen, pales in comparison. So
that's crazy.
Hollywood do better, but B, like the real world is crazy, And then it's like going back to that interview question. It's like, yeah, I can survive emergency, first responder situations. Code, come on, that's boring. And so it was nice because I was able to relate, back to the IT world, and I was able to relate to those people as individuals. And I think that they appreciated my answer because they were like, yeah, that, we need to take that into perspective more because, there's, how do you say, very passionate developers in this world. And when you QA their code, they, what I think?
Yeah.
I think there was a developer you recently had on, actually. His last name starts with a Z. He's a very passionate guy. When you go after his code, he'll let you know how he feels. I love that guy to death. Don't get me wrong. But no, the interviewer was like, we need to take that to heart because this isn't life or death. This code is not going to go anywhere. We can fix it. It's not going to stop the world from spinning kind of thing. So let's take a deep breath. Let's figure it out kind of situation. So I'm glad I'm able to bring that to the table. Like, hey, you know what? I'm not saying that this isn't a pressing matter, but at the same time, I think we're going to be okay. Like, let's regroup, let's gather ourselves, and then attack it again. So, yeah, I'm glad to have that experience for sure. Unfortunately, there's, that PTSD element of certain things never leaving the back of your mind, unfortunately. But if I had to, I would definitely do it all over again.
Well, I think too, one of the things I think about a lot is there's conventional wisdom that you should stay in a certain field, that you should stay in a certain industry, that you should stay on this very narrow path as you're sort of sculpting your career. But like, I don't know, I see a lot of folks who might stray out of their industry entirely for a year or two and come back with applicable experience. And yours is kind of an extreme example because it's like, well, I've dealt with real stress, bro. Like, like I haven't, like, whether your code passes, 38 out of the 39 unit tests, like it's not really going to affect my day in the same way that these 911 calls affect people's lives in a very meaningful and profound and immediate way. But I don't know. I'm personally finding, at least anecdotally talking to people, that conventional wisdom isn't necessarily holding up all the time of, I need to stay in this one industry and have this very narrow focus. Like, I think it's actually okay for people to look around and try different things. I'm actually going through a little bit of that myself right now.
I mean, if anything, like you said, it just makes you that much more well-rounded, because it's like, what is the rest of the world doing? How are they living?
Yeah.
What's their exposure to it? One thing that's really cool that I learned about recently was Home Depot. Their developers are having to actually work, and I don't want to say this in a negative light by any means, because I think this is awesome. But their developers are having the opportunity to work one day in a store as your average Home Depot employee, but they're able to do like the legwork of that end user experience. What does the app do for you? Have you used it? How did it react? What were you looking for? What were you trying to accomplish with that kind of stuff? And then they can take that back, and to me, that's real world application. Like, how do you get more in touch with that? Obviously, you might have some folks that are not going to be super stoked, but for me, I think that, I'd love to talk to people, so it would be easy. But like, for me, that's going to outweigh any kind of other, like, oh, let me just randomly reach out and like, hey, can you tell me about your app experience via email? Nobody's going to, straight to the trash. Nobody's going to respond to that. But like, if you're face to face, hey, have you used this? Oh yeah, it was cool. Or, I faced this issue, or did it, whatever the case may be. Like, and then all of that development team goes back and says, this is the feedback I have. What do we do? To me, that's huge.
Yeah.
I think it's like one day a quarter or something, I think, is like their...
It's something like that. I know Home Depot's an Atlanta company. I'm in Atlanta, so I know a good number of folks who work at Home Depot. And and I know they've had like their Orange Apron days or whatever they call them for years, but I think they recently made the news again. I'm trying to remember if there was some specific new part of that, but I know that's actually been a thing they've done for a while, is have employees go out and spend at least some time on the retail floor. I don't know if maybe they increased the frequency or something like that recently, but
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I recently saw, it might've been on LinkedIn or maybe even Reddit, something like that. But I saw that and I was like, man, that is really cool. Like, I would do it. I wouldn't have any issues with it. Obviously, there's some people that maybe aren't as outgoing, and that, it might be a different kind of challenge they face, but either way, the benefits that Home Depot is going to get from it is huge.
Yeah, totally. I agree. I think it's a good thing to do.
I think there's also, like, when I'm looking for a job or I'm trying to apply, I'm like looking at apps that I regularly use.
Oh yeah.
Because I know I'd be more passionate when it is something that I feel directly impacts me.
Yeah, in my job hunt, there was a handful of exactly that. Like the river, I order things from the river all the time, and it's like, well, let's see what their job board looks like. Oh, hey, they need QA guys too. Boom, I throw my hat in that ring, kind of thing. I don't use social media, but I figured they use all kinds of IT people. Same thing. There's a couple of QA roles there. Let me throw my hat in that ring, kind of thing. And it's like you said, if you have the personal exposure, why not? Like, I know what I would want better for this. When I sold musical, equipment, that was one of the things they taught us. That, when somebody comes in, ask them, what do you like about your stuff that you have now? What don't you like about it? What would you change? Da 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 da. And then, of course, the sales pitch comes in at that point. But to me, it's that basic. Like, what do you like about it? What would you change?
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned looking around for new QA jobs and being a part of the job hunt market right now. What was your experience going through that?
Do you want the not rated version or I feel like it is a very large test of one's patience. I feel like so I started because I was laid off. I feel like in the tech world, that's one thing that is an aspect of our lives. It's an aspect of our careers. That's it. No good, no bad. It is what it is, kind of thing. So I feel like I avoided it for quite some time, and then unfortunately I didn't. The day after that happened, and even that day, it was like, whoa, wait, what? But like, I don't think I was supposed to be on that meeting. Like, I think that was, you know what I mean? Like, you don't want to believe it. It's surreal. And then you're immediately, just pole vaulted into, well, 100 plus applicants, 100 plus, and I'm like, oh, okay. So I started doing the LinkedIn thing. I started doing the Indeed thing. I feel like the typical steps. And I would say the first, I don't know, 30, 40 applications, resume submissions. I feel I feel like it was just like I got ghosted by everyone, and I'm like, did everyone leave me on red? Like, what happened? Like, did you? Let me resend it just in case. Like, did you not get it? Like, what happened here? You know what I mean? And I'm like, well, maybe I did something wrong, or let me refresh my email. No, everything was fine. Like, I don't know. I don't have an answer for it, but it just felt so like everything was so unresolved. It's just no responses. Like, you can reject me, I will accept that. Like, but at least give me that. On the other hand, I feel like there's like a weird thing of, are these postings real? And I won't point fingers at where I saw these things, but what I would do is, like, I would look at a job board, and then I would go to that company's actual website, and I'd be like, okay, A says this, but if I go to B, there's nothing on B. Like, what? Where's the disconnect? Like, how does that work, kind of thing? So I feel like, in a weird way, like, are they ghost postings? Are they not factual? Or how does that play into the whole entire situation of the thing? And if I apply to this one, is it going to actually get to B? Like, how does that work, kind of thing? Recruiters. I'm gonna be nice. There's some awesome recruiters, don't get me wrong. I've yet to meet one. Recruiters are awesome, but I also feel that there's opportunities for growth in that realm. I've never done that job. I don't know how hard it is. It's probably not easy, don't get me wrong, but if you see a message, again, just give me the rejection. I can handle it. I'm a big boy. You know what I mean? Like, hey, you know what? Better luck next time. Thank you. That's all I need. Yeah. You know what I mean? I don't think that's too much to ask, at least. I did receive some feedback from a couple that, they did provide me that, and I'm like, you know what? That's awesome. I know your day is not, sitting around waiting for something to happen. So I appreciate the fact that it took you 2 seconds to be like, sorry, I can't help you. Cool. But I also feel that, like, even if you were to copy paste it, it's not going to take you that long. You know what I mean? So again, never being in that position, I don't know what it's like, but I don't think it's too incredibly hard to be a person to another person. That's what I took away from it.
I know we've had a couple of recruiters on the show, and one thing they're just saying is just they're getting slammed with the volume of applicants right now. It's just like hundreds and hundreds of people for a single position, and I think that plays a little bit into not getting responses, and that by the time the job has timed out and it's done, like, they haven't even had time to write responses to the 10 people they're interviewing yet, much less the 100 or 200 rejections. But it doesn't make it sting any less. I mean,
yeah. And on the same hand, like, I went pretty far into the interview process. So I had like met the recruiter and like talked to him a lot, got ready for each interview, and then at one step I was going to be rejected, and then just he ghosted me. So
Oh,
I was
man.
far in, like it was really strange. And I finally wrote, and after my third email, I got oh, my message must have went to spam.
Right.
Mhm.
We're going with somebody else. And I was like, okay, cool. Thanks.
Heard that.
Thanks.
I've heard that before.
Yeah. Yeah. So
yeah,
there
no,
is
you're
that
right.
element of like, we are still people, regardless of how busy you are. It would be nice to just communicate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even just a quick, like, just respond no. And then hit send.
Sorry. Sorry, but no. Well, you know, and obviously, you know, you take it a little bit more personal because you feel like you're the only one. You know, you may,
Yeah.
like you can see over 100 applicants have, you know, tried this out. Da 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 da. Like, okay, yeah, I get that. But it's hard. You know, it's like, hey, I still have bills. I still have responsibilities. You know what I mean? Like, I still have things that are, you know, waiting for me at the end of the day. And it's like, it's hard. Like you said, it's hard not to take it that much more personally because it's like, all right, cool, 100 applicants. What about me though? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you know, you have that little bit of added pressure, and then being a parent, it's like, oh man, you know, stack it up a little bit more, please. Like, it's not hot enough in here.
Serious.
So, but no, like I said, I don't imagine, and I won't pretend that their job is easy because,
Yeah.
but could I do it? I would try. I'm not going to say yes, but I would try. Their job isn't easy. Their life isn't easy because they probably carry a lot of stress. You know, maybe they take that home with them. Like, hey, you know what? I wasn't able to help this person out. Hopefully they make it, you know, to where do they need, you know, where they need to be kind of thing. But it's like, then there's also automation. Half of my job essentially can be automated. Responses, I feel, are the same thing. Like, why can't you just automate that response and be like, all right, cool. I know, you know, I know what list to put this in kind of thing. So, I'm sure there's a QA guy waiting to write that script for them. You know what I mean? Like, there's somebody waiting, like, hey, I can do that. You know what I mean? Here's a list.
Yeah, like,
you guys.
I mean, you know, see, if you ever find yourself in this position again, that's your pitch right there, right? It's
Right?
like,
I can be that guy.
You know, I see that you haven't responded to my email for 7 days. Hey, I could set up a workflow for you to do that automatically to reject the rejects.
Just saying. Yeah. That, or I'm going to go into your website and maybe find some vulnerability points and be like, hey, you might want to keep an eye out for this. I'm not attacking you. I'm just saying there's, you know.
Putting on my white hat, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm just saying that you might want to look into this. And, you know, I might know a guy that can help you. I don't know.
It's a nice story you got there. It'd be a shame if anything happened to it, you know.
Yeah. No, I mean, and then once you find something, it's like you can breathe. All those bricks are off your back, and you're like, okay, I have this offer, I have this start date, I have this, and this. For me, you know, again, wearing my heart on my sleeve. The HR guy was like, "What questions do you have for me?" And I'm like, "When do my benefits start? I don't care about anything else. Like, you know, like that's my biggest thing. I'm not worried about payday. I'm not worried about this or that. Like, when can I go to the dentist? When can I do this? When can I do that? You know what I mean? Like, real life hits real fast, and I think it all compiles into to that recruiter response kind of element of things, and it's like real life is still happening, like all the way around you, and thankfully it's not life or death. Thankfully it's not 911, but at the same time it's like I still have to be an adult. You know what I mean? Like, what do we do next? What's the next step?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Therein lies the whole mental health aspect of things. What am I doing to make sure that I'm leveled out so I can have the best foot forward when I have this interview, when I have to face these people that are potentially going to sign my paycheck? I need to make sure that I'm me and not, like this shell of a person pretending to be, obviously, my credentials are there, my history's there. But it's like, that's a small percentage of like who I am as a person. What am I bringing to the table? How am I helping your team? And what is that going to look like? For me, that was a challenge, because it was like, I know what I was doing before. I knew I had my process, I had my routine, my schedule when I was working, and it was like, okay, this helps me. This keeps me grounded. This keeps me happy. It helps me to get up the next morning to go to work and do what I got to do, kind of thing. And then when you're pitched into the pile of, guess what? Who knows what's going to happen tomorrow? That routine goes out the window. And for me, that's exactly what happened. I'm like, wait, what? Like, I know that I go to the gym at this time. If I go earlier, what is that going to feel like? What am I going to miss out on potential opportunities? Like, how do I schedule interviews or calls around that? And so, luckily, the gym stayed as a routine for me, because it was like, if I go pick up heavy stuff, I can exert all this mental, like, just nonsense that much easier. Like, my body's not going to be happy the next day, but it's like, at least I can get it out. I can exercise it, no pun. On the other hand, I recently picked up indoor soccer, and I became addicted to that. And I like, I'm a freak. I'm a fiend for it. Like, I am not good. I'm not even going to say anything like that, but I love it so much that I'm like, I can't put it down. I went from one team when I started playing like one game a weekend to 3 teams now playing like 5 games a weekend.
Wow.
And I'm like, who is this guy? Like, wait a minute. Like, and like, even the friends that who are also in the IT world, who I play with and sometimes against, they even said it this last weekend. They're like, who are you? Like, where did this come from? And I'm like, I blame you. Like, you were already doing this. I just came to watch. And then one day I was like, hey, I could try that. And then now look at me. So it was like, without the gym, without physical exertion, I don't think I would be able to maintain it as easily as I did. And again, sometimes maybe that's not for everyone. I get it. Because it's hard. It's not easy at all. But like, for me, it was like, okay, if I physically run myself into the ground, I'm going to be okay. Because I know I can get back up. You know what I mean?
I'll just back that up too. Like, that helped me a lot during my first layoff. Was I would get out with the kids every day. We would walk about a mile over to their school, play some basketball, walk back, so I'm getting 2 miles of walking just going to and from the school. And then additionally, like an hour of basketball, and like, just that bit of exercise. It definitely helped my mental health quite a bit during that time, and to keep it on somewhat of a schedule as well.
Yeah. You got to have the routine. You got to have some kind of normalcy, because the rest of the world is flipped upside down. It's like, oh, okay, this is my new normal. This is my new routine. I'm sure, I'm definitely sure that there's some people in the soccer world that are like, oh no, not this guy again. When they would see me walk in, because there were some low points. I'm not gonna lie, there were some low points that I'm like, what, I got to fight through this, and they don't know that. They're just like, oh, we're here to have fun, and here comes Mike, like, get out of my way. You're like, I'm dealing with stuff. You know what I mean?
Hey, you know what though? Like, it's okay to be bad at something. Like, it's okay if you're enjoying it to go and be bad at it. Like, that's fine. Like, we have a podcast, like.
But we're loving it. And actually, now that you mention it, I'm glad we're talking about mental health. All the layoffs that like Rusty and I have been affected by mentally have taken an intense toll on us and, others. And when the two of us decided to start this, it's kind of the single thing that has helped me get up in the morning and continue, because I mean, I was ready to just quit tech in general. I was so hurt and burnt, and I needed something to care about. It's like just passion, and like remind myself that I like this at all.
Yeah.
Right.
And I do love your soccer story because I know. So I got really addicted to indoor soccer years ago, Mike, when I was at RSI and started like the IT team of a bunch of us from the company, and we were so bad, Mike. Like I'm telling you, and I just remember talking to people there, and I'm like, "Look, I know we're bad," and they're like, "Oh, yeah." I mean, we never won a single game, but it was the most fun I'd
Yeah.
ever had playing soccer. And I played
Oh, yeah.
soccer my whole life. And the worst team I've ever been involved with was the best time ever.
It's
Just
weird,
ever.
right?
Yeah.
The dynamic of it is absolutely strange because that's how I went into it. I was a spectator for a year, and I would watch those people, and my ego was bigger than my head. So I'm like, I could do this. Those guys are doing it. I could do this. And then you watch it, and you're like, oh, wait, hang on. Wait a minute. Like, you got to run, kick, not fall down, not kick other people. Like, hang on a second. Maybe. So I was a spectator for a good year, and then I was like, all right, same thing. Like, if I don't push myself, nobody else is going to do it for me. But I'm also not going to, like, I don't want to live with the regret of, like, oh, man, I wish I would have tried that.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a theme with your personality. Like you got into QA because you were like, I'll try it. Like, I'll just do it. You got into pen testing with the same. Why not? Like, I think I could try. I could do that maybe. And you try it. And your ability to jump in and just try something new is really cool. That's a rare trait.
Thank you. It's gotten me into a lot of fun and a lot of trouble, and that's episode 2. But I mean, same thing. When I started playing music, it was the same thing. It was like, hey, you've never touched an instrument. By the way, we have a show next weekend, and I'm like, wait, what? Like, oh yeah, like learn these songs. We're gonna play next weekend. Also at the spot that like you idolize as a spot that if you did play music that you would want to play that stage. And I'm like, hang on, like, wait a minute, like, I need a breath. So yeah, that has been my life. You know, it's like, wait, you're gonna do it, like, and nobody else is gonna help you. If you make it, heck yeah, that's awesome. And if you don't, you can say, I tried it. At least I gave it a shot. And here I am. I mean, going back to the tech aspect of things, they wanted, so they needed help with basically being like a product manager. Here I am. Let's do it. I failed miserably. And I'm like, I'm sorry. like, I'm sorry. I tried it. And they were like, don't worry. You know, like they let me down easily. But they were like, we gave you one of the toughest clients. You know, like, you'd never done this. We knew that. You tried. You know, like, here's a pat on the back. But I'm like,
get an E for effort.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, at least I was honest. Like, hey, I don't know what I'm doing. But you know what? I'm going to try it. If this works out, who knows where I could go with it, you know? But yeah, I mean, that's been Mike's life for a lot of different things, and it's like I'm grateful for that because that's one thing I want to teach my kid is like, don't do things like don't miss out on something. If I would have known sports and stuff like that was this much fun back in the day, you know, maybe I would have been a high school, you know, athlete kind of guy. But at that point I was like, no, where's my skateboard? Where's my snowboard? Jocks, all those folks, not for me. You know what I mean? And like now I look at it, like before my grandmother passed, she's like, hang on a second. She's like, where are you going right now? I was like, oh, I got to go to soccer. I got a game. And she's like, do you know how old you are? And I'm like, yeah. Trust me, when I get out of bed every morning, yes. I'm reminded of how old I am. And she's like, and you're doing all this stuff now? And I'm like, absolutely. And she's like, why? And I'm like, because being an idiot, I missed out on it a long time ago, and I'm making up for it, and I'm having the best time of my life. And she was like that works for me. Have fun. Get out of here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and that lady, she pulled 0 punches. So she let you know, like, no, you're an idiot. If you're an idiot, I'm going to call you an idiot, but I'm going to teach you at the same time. Like, all right, this is why you're an idiot. How do you get past it? So for me, it's like, if I can teach my kid, like, hey, because she's playing outdoor now, and I'm like, you can't say you're tired. You can't say you don't know what you're doing. You can't give up. None of that. I was like, look at me. I'm a perfect example. I'm an old man. I'm running around for hours on end for no good reason, chasing a ball. And I'm like, you're a kid. Like, you're going to have fun regardless, because I know I'm having fun. And, from that point, she'll just kind of look up and be like, oh, yeah, you know what? You got a point. Damn it. This guy's kind of smart. Like, man, all right, I'm going to go back out there. And then she has fun. And I'm like, see, you didn't miss out on anything, So for me, it's like, I don't have the regret, but if I would have tried those stuff earlier, like, same thing, where would I be now? Who knows? I mean, Uncle Rico, I sound. Want to watch me throw a football over those mountains? It's like, it's one of those. You know what I mean? But again, going back to it, like, I haven't felt normal in a long time, because with the layoff, with everything else that's going on in life, and not having a routine, to rebuilding that routine, getting outside, like you said, even if it's standing there staring at the mountains or whatever, get outside, get that vitamin D. You need it. We're, in a weird way, humans are like plants. Drink water, get sunshine. You know what I mean? Like, obviously in moderation, but that was one thing that I took for granted. It was like, oh, I do need to go outside and touch grass. That's a real thing. It's going to balance you out. It's going to help you out. I'm a huge food guy. I love good food. I like spending way too much on food. I love going to new spots. And for me, that was another thing. Eat good. Don't eat a bunch of junk. Eating junk is easy. Being negative, having a negative mindset, cake. I could do that all day. Is it going to get me anywhere? Absolutely not. You know what I mean? Like, it's not going to help me out one bit. So, again, everything in moderation.
Yeah, I think people hear self-care and they think, oh, I'm just going to relax and watch movies and drink a bunch of alcohol and, like that's not what self-care is. Like, self-care is actually doing things that are hard, but for your own benefit, right? And
exactly.
Like, eating right is a great example. Like, that's actually really hard when you're not feeling good about yourself. Like,
yeah.
I see that can of Pringles in the cabinet. I see you, like,
It's calling my name.
It's not going to be here. It's not going to be here half an hour from now, and like, nobody's going to judge me for that, because like, who else is here? I'm unemployed.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm an adult. I can eat ice cream for breakfast. Leave me alone.
That's right. Like, we're going to eat deli meat straight out of the bag for dinner. That's how we're going to do it here. That's right. No, but I think you bring up good points is all.
Life hits you quick, you know what I mean? And like, not to sound like a broken record, but this whole entire year has been just an absolute roller coaster for me. And people close to me, they've seen it firsthand, and they're like, they've said it, like, how are you doing it? And I'm like, I'll let you know once I figure it out. You know what I mean? Like, if there was something I could write down and, give you a script or, a manuscript, here you go. But I'm like, I don't know that. I was like, but I've seen some really cool stuff, and I've seen even worse. And I'm like, what am I going to do? You know what I mean? Like, I don't have any other choice. I have to get up in the morning. I have to do this. I have to do that. And even if I didn't have my daughter, it was, I feel like there's still a lesson to be learned. Somebody's still going to learn from my, escapades and everything else. Like, yeah, this guy was down in the dirt. Now look at him. You know what I mean? And so I'm grateful for that, because I wouldn't feel as good as I do now if it wasn't for all of that. You know what I mean? Because it's inevitable. You're going to go through some nasty, hard, horrific stuff. And unfortunately, it's going to be the only thing that helps you out. It's going to be some of the things that help you to grow and be a bigger, better person, because I skated for a long time. I don't think I earned anything. I don't feel like I did anything meaningful for a decent part of my life. And now that like I have to face these trials, I'm like, you know what? I've had it easy. Now it's my turn. Now it's my turn in the bucket, as they say. What are you gonna do? You know what I mean? Like I'm not the kind of guy that's just gonna give up. I'm gonna bitch and complain. Sorry for my language, but I'm gonna complain the whole time. Trust me. Like you're gonna hear me. The people on the soccer field know that for sure. You're going to hear me. Like I am going to voice it because I am good at talking and getting it out there. But at the same time, it's like I'll do my turn in the bucket. But when I get out of here, you better watch out because I'm going to be a whole nother monster. You know what I mean? Like I'm going to be that much stronger, and it's going to take a lot more to take me down. So I think that's the biggest thing that like I've had to keep in the back of my mind. Like, hey, this sucks, but it's not going to be forever. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. And it has paid off recently, right? You're no longer searching for a job.
I'm no longer doing that. I'm scoring goals pretty regularly.
Yes.
Even more importantly, like I love to be the assist guy. Like I don't know why, but I love helping other people score. Like if I can get a nice pass, like right in front of the goal, past the defenders to my guy, oh man, over the moon. I feel so good about myself. But no, yeah, the job search has really paid off. I'm really happy to be associated with the company that I'm with now. I've actually have the opportunity to work with some developers that I worked with in the past, which they are amazing people. So like to have the opportunity to work with them again and be a part of that work family all over again, to me is like priceless. You know what I mean? Like any offer pales, in comparison. Life overall has just, that sun's a little bit brighter now, you know what I mean? In a good way. So, it's not easy. You got to stick through it. But, when that page does finally turn, when that other shoe falls, it's like, all right, now I know why I went through all that crap. Because now look, everything's going to be that much better now. And then it's just, next page after next page kind of thing, like don't forget it, but don't dwell on it. Easier said than done.
Yeah, I just love it. I love it. I'm really happy for you, Mike. It's great to hear things are looking up. And I think that your advice and experience trying to like beat the doldrums and the depression that comes with such a shakeup in your life is quite the story. And I don't think it's talked about enough.
It's one of those like elephants, it's in the room, but I feel like, I don't know, maybe my personality, I'm a lot more direct just because that's what I'm used to. I was raised in that kind of way. Like, hey, if there's an issue, you're going to face it. You're care about it. You're not going to just, oh, well, one day, like, no, that's not how this works. You know what I mean? And I mean, I feel like that's also a way to relate because I feel like everyone lives the same life. It's just a matter of like, what are you comfortable talking about? You know what I mean? What are you comfortable with? I mean, all these stupid tattoos that I have are just my map of life. Like, and some people see them and they're like, oh, this guy's going to rob me. Or, like, and I'm like, no, that's just a band. I really like their music. You know what I mean? Like, it's just stupid things that, it's like, for me, it's easy to relate to people like that. There was a lady at the grocery store earlier today. She was buying Beanie Babies of all things. I was like, you remember that trend back in the day when people were putting them on eBay and making all kinds? She's like, that's what I'm trying to do. And I'm like, you know what? Skip me in line. You know what I mean? Like, you only have a handful of like she acted like I gave her the winning lottery numbers just because, she had like 3 things and I had like 10. And I'm like, just go ahead. She's like, oh my God, you're so nice. I'm like, it's literally the grocery store. You know what I mean? Like, I think the biggest thing though, and I was proud of myself for this, but I was like, there's so much negativity in this world nowadays. Yeah. I'm like, I don't have an issue with you going ahead of me. You know what I mean? Like, it's literally just the grocery store. And then like the whole scenario of we need a price check on aisle, and I was like, I started laughing because I'm like, this is what was going to happen. And she's like, she felt bad. You know what I'm saying? She's like, oh my God, I'm that person. You let me go. I was like, listen, it's outside. It's snowing outside. It's disgusting. Like, I'm going to go back to the house and just watch TV anyways. Like, what am I worried about? You know what I mean? Like, give me a couple more minutes to talk to you about the lily that you're going to buy that I can't keep alive in my house, but for whatever reason, you guys are good at that. And she's like, how do you do it? And I'm like, how do I do what? She's like, how do you look at things like that? And I'm like, because I've already seen the other side of it. Like, I don't want to go back there. Like, tell me about your plants, dude. And she's all right, cool. You know what I mean? I'm like, even if I didn't have the year that I had, it's like, I'm going to do that anyways. Tell me about the good stuff, because you know what? I'm not here for a long time. I'm here for a good time. Like that.
Mike, I've known you a really long time, and you're a very nice human being. You are a humanitarian. You didn't just learn that.
I
mean, I'm trying to refine it. I'm trying to.
Yeah. You know what though? I mean, I love that though, because it sounds almost trite to say like, let's have a good deed for the day, right? But if you can just like randomly put some small bit of positivity out into the world over the course of a day, I don't know. I mean, it helps me a lot personally. If I gave a homeless person $1 today, like, they need it more than I do. Like, and I'm not saying that to like humble brag or anything. It's like, it really does make me feel good. Like, it's almost a selfish act to give the homeless person $1, because like I actually feel better about myself when I do that. And but it does help other people as well. And so I don't know. I would just encourage people to do something small every day if they can.
I mean, like, becoming a parent, there was a list of cliches.
Yeah.
I feel like this is a very similar kind of situation, because it's like, you don't know what somebody else is dealing with. You absolutely don't. People could be having the best day or the worst day or a combination thereof. And it's like, if I do something small by letting you cut in line, and it, that's the good thing of your day, cool. You know what I mean? Like, I'm okay with that. It's not going to bother me one bit. But I also don't know what you're dealing with. You could have the worst day of your life, and me doing that isn't going to be enough for you to be like, you know what? Maybe not everyone in this world is, not that cool of a dude. But you know what I'm saying? Like, for me, it's like, hey, hang on a second. Even if I'm having a bad day, like you said, that's going to help me, because I know that smile on that person's face is going to give me one. And I'm like, I'm cool with that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need a free coffee. I don't go to Starbucks because I'm a coffee snob too. But like, I don't need a free Starbucks. You know what I mean? But like, if somebody pays for mine, like, yeah, of course I'm going to pay for the guy behind me. Like, why not? Come on. So that's, it hasn't been easy, but that's been my approach to life, saying, not only are we going to put you in the bucket, but we're going to set it on fire too. So good luck. But yeah, pay it forward. Be a dude. Don't be a jerk. I think that it does pay off in the end. It's just a matter of like, it's like a weird thing of like, you always find something when you're not looking for it. Mm. So, you know what I mean? Like, just let it go. Do what you got to do. Focus on the main picture. Score some goals. Be the assist guy. Do it. Be a defenseman. You know what I mean? I don't know. That's, pick what you're going to enjoy, and everything else will fall into place. That team will find you. That extra opportunity will find you, and you never know. You might just get something out of it. So, and it's the most unselfish way of approaching life, period, I think.
It's been a very uplifting conversation, Mike.
I hope so.
Thank you for that. Seriously, so. Thank you.
Opinions expressed on the one-on-one belong only to us and our guests, not to any of our respective employers. Does this platform call to you? Do you need a one-on-one? You can find us on the web at theoneonone.show. That's THE1ON1.show, where you can sign up to be a guest. We also love listener messages. You can email us at contact@theoneonone.show or leave us a voicemail at speakpipe.com/theoneononepodcast. Send us your comments and questions, and we may respond to your message in a future episode. You can also find us in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and YouTube by searching for The One-on-One. Please rate and review us on those services. It helps us out a lot. The One-on-One wouldn't be possible without listeners like you and a fantastic community of people who help us in ways large and small. Special thanks to Cameron Cooper, who helps us with marketing, Michael Ducharme, who created our bumper music, and Elena Sage, who's been a huge booster since day one. Thanks for listening.